Welcome back, folks, and hello to my channel newbies. Welcome to the third episode of Once Upon a Mind, the fairy tale of your brain. And today we have Cinderella, and more specifically the Cinderella Complex. The Cinderella Complex was coined in 1981 by Colette Dowling. It basically means that women are motivated by this underlying desire to be taken care of out of fear of seeming or becoming independent, which usually leads to staying in dysfunctional relationships. Quick question. You guys know Cinderella, right? Blonde, yay high, talks animal, went to a ball, met a prince, never asked her name, forgot about her the next day, she lost a shoe, and used her lost shoe to extrapolate some weird foot fetish and drag his ass around the kingdom in order to identify her by a one unique trait, the fact that she had some weird shoe size that only she and no one else had. Are you still with me? So, are you the princess waiting for the prince? Or are you the badass shoe that dragged Prince Charming's ass across the kingdom because you fit one and one person only? Here are some signs and traits of dependent personality disorder, and I'm going to be using Cinderella, surprise, surprise, to show you not how she defines this complex, ironically since it's named after her, but how the movie shows that she breaks free of this complex and de-Cinderellafies herself, basically. Stick with me to the end of this video and I will show you that one scene where she took her dependency, literally in her hands, and managed to transform that dependency into a unique trait. Going from broom to groom, from rags to castle, and from girl to queen. And also, if a fairy tale princess can do it, so can you. Now, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to introduce yourself in the comments. Subscribe to my channel if you want to gain some perspective on those big and little questions in life. Make Mama Algorithm love me by giving me a big thumbs up and smashing that subscribe bell so you guys can see when I'm making new videos, which is every Thursday. And let's start. Harsh truth time. I am not your fairy godmother, and your problems are not going to be solved with a... Yes, the concept of Cinderella Complex does derive from childhood and upbringing, but guess what? If you're old enough to turn around to your mom and say, "No, Mom, I did not bring a sweater, it is not cold outside," or "No, Dad, I did not pay that bill in the beginning of the month." If you're old enough to say that, then you're old enough to take responsibility for your own actions and stop blaming your parents. All of us can suck on the, "oh, it's not my fault, it's my parents' fault" candy, including yours truly, but it's time to grow up and bring your own damn sweater. So, dependent personality disorder basically means that you are emotionally dependent on others and you have this incessant need to please people. So, surprise, surprise, sign number one is difficulty making decisions and letting others making them for you. I mean, how are you going to make a decision if you want to please everyone, right? Now, this could extend to serious life questions, decisions such as where to live, where to work, but it can even go to the extent of what do I wear. Now, Cinderella has this to an extent. I mean, when her fairy godmother turns up, she has troubles communicating to her that, yeah, thanks for the pumpkin and the horse and everything, but I still need a dress. However, from the scene...
Well, let's see. I'd say the first thing you need is
to dress.
a pumpkin. A pumpkin?
A pumpkin?
Yeah, well,
Alright, show you later.
you can't go to the ball.
A dress!
A horse.
Oh my god, say it! Okay, there we go.
And that's you. Yes, Bruno, that's right. You'll be footman tonight. Oh, hop in, my dear. We can't waste time. No, don't.
Say it!
Oh, I wasn't. I mean, I do, but don't you think my dress...
Oh my god.
Lovely, dear. Lovely. Good heavens.
Duh! She says it. She communicates it. She makes a decision and says, "You know what? I need the dress." Now, this for you may seem very small, but for a person that has dependent personality disorder, it is very hard to ask for things. But, hate to break it to you, you can't let everyone make your decisions because at the end of the day, you're just going to be sacrificing who you are, and there's a difference between sacrifice and compromise. Check out my video if you want to learn more about it, but you have to be able to understand not only if you are sacrificing your happiness, but who you are compromising your happiness with. You see, if we're talking about relationships, relationships are partnerships. And if you think of a partnership as a business partnership, You're not always going to be happy by your business partner's decisions. You're not always going to think that it's the best thing for your business. You're going to disagree. That should extend to your personal relationships too. You can't let the other person call the shots, because then you're just sacrificing who you are. Cinderella didn't do that. So start making your own decisions, but also learn to compromise in that relationship and use a scale of how satisfied you are with our services today, aka your relationship. And the extent of the frowny face, use the extent of that frowny face of that scale as your compass of what to sacrifice, how to compromise, and if are you taking enough decisions of your own. And remember, if you don't decide about anything and give that power to someone else, then instead of rating your relationship on the satisfaction scale, you're rating your pain from 1 to 5. So one thing you can do if you find that you have problems making decisions is get out of your comfort zone. I mean, Cinderella went to a ball. She went from broom to groom. She went from rags to castle. You can't get more like opposite sides from that. So try something that is completely out of your comfort zone and see how you respond. Sign number 2. Expect your partner to vanquish your fears instead of facing them on your own. Now, this may seem very self-explanatory, and it's a balance. Let me explain. It's okay to have your partner deal with all the dirty stuff. You know, kill the spiders, for me, sharpen the knives, I hate the noise, I can't stand it. But if you're waiting for Prince Charming to come and vanquish all your fears, guess what? When Prince Charming files for divorce, your fears are still going to be there, and there'll be no Prince Charming to vanquish them. Cinderella, she didn't fear anything. She took active steps to get to that ball. She made her dress. Her stepsisters literally shredded her dream. And even when she was heartbroken, the godmother comes and she still goes to the ball. She dusted that cinder off and reclaimed her name as Ella. Okay, Disney doesn't actually say that her name is Ella, but that's where it's from, Cinderella. So dust off that cinder and face your own fears. Sign number 3. Behaving submissively because you fear that independent means a loss of femininity. Now, I know the Cinderella complex mostly reflects on women. However, I believe that with today's societal gender differences and changes, that it actually affects both sexes right now. And there's this huge concept of if you're not needed, the other person's not going to love you. So a lot of girls, you have the classic damsel in distress, pretending that you need the person so the person feels validated. Now that's not a really healthy relationship, is it? Cinderella is kind of submissive towards her stepsisters and her stepmother, but give a girl a break. She has nowhere to go. She's literally a victim of emotional and physical abuse. And if you want to learn more about emotional abuse, check out my video on Rapunzel. But aside from that, none of her actions are submissive. She went to that ball even though she was told not to. That takes strength. And did the fact that she went to the ball make her any less feminine or less attractive? Kind of the opposite. She's a rebel. Makes it kind of hot. And even though she does portray traits of femininity, such as being kind, being compassionate, she still has the guts to chase her dream and know what she wants. And at the end of the day, she didn't even ask to meet the prince. She literally just asked for a night out, a night to party, a selfish night. And there was nothing submissive about it. We think about little girls as delicate flowers, little princesses with their pink dresses playing. But a 2005 study showed that girls aged 6 to 12 enjoyed torturing, mutilating, and microwaving their Barbies as much as they did dressing them up for prom. So, grown-up ladies, do you want to rethink that? At the end of the day, if we were all strong, independent women or men, we wouldn't need any support psychologically, emotionally, and relationships would be rendered useless. I'm not really sure where you're on the whole sex ed part, but you are here not because of one, but 2 people. You need 2 ingredients to make this. So unless you guys want to all come out as 2 babies in the future, it's okay to need someone because you love them, but it's not okay to love them because you need them. It doesn't work both ways. You can need someone without being a damsel in distress. Sign number 4. Watch your language. And I'm not talking about the F-bomb. Recent gender studies have shown that women use more phrases such as sort of, like, I guess. And studies have shown that women's fear of independence and seeming too dominant can actually shape their language. Women have been shown to use more of what we call empty adjectives, such as marvelous, terrific, awesome, fantastic. Now, Studies have shown that people that incorporate these types of words into their sentences are not as assertive and not as confident compared to people that don't. Another characteristic is the use of dipping or inserting a question right after a statement, which pretty much decreases the force and validity of their statement. So basically saying, you think? Now, Cinderella kind of grows out of this, and by the end of the film, she doesn't even do it. And to give you a very simple example, these two phrases that are exactly the same in meaning, but with language and expression, are portrayed very differently. What's wrong? Well, I sort of got angry, I guess, because he said he would call, and I don't know, I think I'm pissed. Like, shouldn't I be pissed? Seriously? Now, does that sound assertive to you? Does that sound like a strong, independent woman or man? Let's rephrase. What's wrong? What's wrong? I'll tell you what's wrong. The bastard never called, and I am pissed. See, just saying those sentences differently, just changing that, is so much more liberating and so much more empowering because you're not guessing, you're not asking someone to validate those emotions. You're pissed. Sign number 5. You're craving the rescue more than the rescuer. Now, one common trait with Cinderella Complex and a dependent personality disorder is that you're idolizing the rescue rather than who is rescuing you. So you don't really care if it's Prince Charming or Shrek, you're just happy that your damsel in distress ass is being whisked off into the sunset and your fairy tale can begin. But this is really unfair to your partner and to yourself because you're creating unrealistic expectations and you're depending your happiness on that person to fit that fairy tale. Now, if you want to learn more about the signs that you are in love with the idea instead of the person, check out my video on Ariel. But Cinderella never does this. Cinderella never asked to be rescued. She asked for a night out. She never went up to the prince and was like, yo dude, like I'm being emotionally and physically abused, please be my man. However, if we take it from the prince's side, this is where it becomes weird. The prince has all these girls gawking at him, and he picks the girl, as you can see from this scene.
Suddenly he stops. He looks up. Hello. There she stands. The girl of his dreams. Who she is or whence she came, he knows not, nor does he care. But his heart tells him that here is the maid predestined to be his bride.
He picks the one girl that looks lost and confused. Now, does that sound like a healthy romantic relationship? Because for me, it kind of sounds like a predator scoping out its prey. That's just me. Cinderella, on the other hand, doesn't really give a flying about the prince. I mean, she's like looking at the castle, she's like, I'm so pretty, I'm wearing this pretty dress, I'm at the ball. Yeah, obviously when the prince approaches her, she's like, because she is a woman in the end. But the point being is that she didn't ask to get rescued. She took steps by herself in order to get to that situation. I've given you a bunch of signs about dependent personality disorder, difficulty making decisions, letting people make decisions for you, acting submissively because you're afraid you're going to be less desirable, feeling that if you are independent that makes you less feminine, and language in order to seem more strong and independent. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The one scene where Cinderella took her dependency and made it her unique trait.
Oh, no! Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Nothing can help now. Nothing.
But you see, I have the other slipper.
As you can see, she is literally holding her fragile dependency in her hand, relinquishing the power it has over her, and making that unique trait, the fact that that shoe fits only her and her only, to become a badass queen. And from the scene, we basically can see how she de-Cinderellafies herself, but also telling everyone, including her dependency, to cinder off. Now, stay tuned for next week's episode. It's going to be on Belle from obviously where else? Beauty and the Beast. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, watch my other videos, make Mama Algorithm love me by giving me a big thumbs up and pushing that bell so you guys can get notified when I make new videos, and see y'all next Thursday. That's it, folks.